Back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella here on this another edition of All Access Football NFL DraftCast. It's a Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. Exactly 50 days. That's 50 days away from what we call Christmas here at the NFL Draft Bible. We're going to bring you another hour of power talking NFL draft. We're going to recap the week that was in the NFL Scouting Combine. I see we got some good friends in the chat room hanging out. Adams Exploits. Great to see you, my man. And we love getting interactive with it wherever you may be. We're broadcasting live right now on YouTube. We are on Twitter X. Please give us a shout out, give us a like, and we're going to break down the combine, the NFL offseason. We got the Eagles making moves. We got to see a change in Seattle. We got the Raiders making a statement extension, a record-setting extension. We'll talk about all that and more with my co-host here for the next hour of power. Of course, a 12-year NFL veteran out of Duke University, an undrafted free agent, 1982, the pride of Massapequa, New York, NFL Network host, Audacity, and Fox broadcaster Brian Baldinger, fresh off the scene in Indianapolis. Baldy checking in from NFL Films here on this Wednesday, March 5th, 50 days away from the draft, Baldy. Welcome back. The dust has settled. And let's just get right into the combine. Yeah. We'll save the NFL talk. I know people want to get our reaction to the breaking news, and I'm sure there's going to be more before the end of the show. We'll get into that. But it's an NFL draft show first. You were in Indianapolis. A lot of moving and shaking. A lot of people who impressed. We say it every year: bigger, faster, stronger. Before we get into the big winners and your thoughts, just give us the kind of overview as a whole. What the vibe was like, boots on the ground. What did you take out of it?
Yeah, it's been a while, Rick, honestly, since I've been there. I used to do a lot of events for the NFL Network and down the field, talking to players, watching the workouts. I haven't done it in a while. So it's good to get back. And, it's the NFL's version of baseball's winter meetings. So everybody is there. I mean, everybody in the industry is in Indianapolis. And it's a very compressed a couple of blocks. There's only a couple of hotels. You got the convention center, and then you got Lucas Oil. So honestly, like I'm walking down the hallway one day with a friend of mine, and I see Leslie Frazier, now the defense coordinator in Seattle, and Mike McDonald is with them. And next thing you know, we're in a discussion about Devin Witherspoon. I'm sitting in the JW Marriott, and I'm talking to a buddy of mine, and here comes Aaron Glenn. I mean, literally, you can't walk 5 feet, not bump into somebody that's in this industry. So that's kind of cool. And then, I mean, I actually flew out of Miami, Rick, to Indianapolis, and sitting right behind me was Dan Marino. So I've known Dan a long time. And, we got to get to the quarterback class if Dan Marino's sitting with you and kind of his general thoughts. So that's that. And then literally Thursday, Thursday was the defensive line working out. And it's a very deep class. We'll get into it throughout the next 50 days. But, I really sat and watched every workout in the end zone. The 40s, the workouts, just the interaction, the movements. And so I kind of studied that class pretty hard. Friday, I spent the day in this Pittsburgh Steelers box, just watching a team go about their business. I'm not going to, get any secrets or anything out of the way, but it was good to just see a team that I know quite a few people with, coaches, personnel people, how they kind of approach the combine, and it's just how tuned in they are to every single participant in what they're doing. So I felt like the first 2 days I got a lot out of it. I watched the Saturday workouts, the Sunday workouts back here in NFL Films. And it was good because let's just say I was watching, I don't know, Jackson Dart throw, on Sunday. I mean, I'm watching him play college at Ole Miss here. I'm watching him take down the Georgia Bulldogs as he's working out. So I was able to kind of marry the two things together.
Yeah, well, you mentioned how the Steelers approach the combine, and I think every team's approach is different. And Pittsburgh's one of those quarterback needy teams right now, and we'll get to that later on in the show. But it's interesting. I was listening to Scott Pioli, as a matter of fact, on NFL Network not too long ago. He was talking about a lot of the teams he was with. They made an emphasis to kind of lock their board in before the combine, right? And so, I mean, how much of it is really, to me, it's like, getting a feel for the movement skills is really part of it for me. Measuring up the body type, but like how much weight or emphasis are you going to put into the film versus the testing? A lot of times it gives you something to circle back and go look into. Membo is one of those guys we're going to get into. Like, hey, I just had to go back and circle back the film, and we'll get into him next because he's somebody I want to debate. Well, but how much are you going to kind of sway that influence?
Well, you have to include it, Rick. You can't go to the combine and say, okay, here's Armand Membo, and he's running in the 4.9s at 335 pounds, and not go back and watch him at Missouri. I mean, as soon as that happened, I literally threw a Missouri Texas A&M game on and watched him against Shamar Stewart, in some of the pass rushers there at A&M. And then you go, oh, he's got elite movement. Maybe Will Campbell isn't the number one tackle. Maybe we should talk about him a little bit more. Maybe we should go back and watch his movement and just see how fluid he is, and watch him cut off on the backside, and watch him get out in the perimeter in that type of a perimeter game. So I don't want to overlook any of this stuff. I don't want to draft a guy on measurables. I want the tape to do the talking for me. But some of these guys had banged up, seasons this year, like Max Harrison, played 5 games in Kentucky this year. Absolutely, we'll talk about him. He tested very, very well, but makes you go back and make sure you go watch 2023. Make sure you watch those 13 starts at Kentucky and watch his movement and his skills.
All right, well, you mentioned Maxwell Harrison. Let's talk about the Kentucky cornerback. Came in a little bit light, I thought. I don't have it in front of me, maybe somewhere around 186, 190 or so, but he ran that, 4.28, 40-yard dash at almost 24 miles per hour peak speed. I think he hit 23.45 miles per hour during those 40-yard dash attempts. Added about a 40-inch vertical for good measure. And he's a guy now, I think, that after Travis Hunter, who I still consider to be a number one cornerback, and we can get into that too, a lot of topics to debate. But I thought Maxwell Hairston, as well as Jahdae Barron from Texas, who, Hairston is a little bit light at 6'1", 190. Barron is a little bit short at 5'11", but the Thorpe Award winner also tested well with a 4.4 40 and a great vertical jump, showing that explosion. Just try to compare and contrast. Are these the tier 2 guys? We'll reserve the Will Campbell conversation for after the Michigan Pro Day because we didn't see him at the combine. But I thought these 2 young men injected themselves into that conversation after Travis Hunter.
Well, there's no question. I mean, Barron, first of all, we always talk about durability. I mean, the guy's literally lined up, played 42 straight games at Texas. He played an NFL schedule this year, played 16 games. Now, Max got banged up this year twice, missed a bunch of games, played 5. Year before, he was fine. But honestly, I mean, Barron ran a 4.39, at 190 pounds. I mean, he tested very well. You're running under 4.4. You've got plenty of long speed, short area quickness. That stuff is all there. I think he's got a lot of really good tape. And you can see him in these playoff games against elite competition, over the last couple of seasons. So to me, I think he's still right after Travis, and it's still early. We're still stacking the boards here. But I think Max really helped himself. I mean, it's good to see him go out there and run like that, test like that. You go back and you watch the tape here, Rick. I see him in man coverage. I see him in zone coverage. I see him playing a variety of different styles. He did weigh 183 pounds. When you watch him tackling is important. Not as much for everybody, but Quinyon Mitchell came out. I thought he separated himself, in all of the offseason last year. And I thought he was my number one corner and played like it. And that's not to say that, Terrion Arnold's not going to be that guy, or, anybody, Kool-Aid McKinstry isn't going to be a great player. But, Quinyon was the lockdown corner in Philadelphia this year. And a lot of the things we saw throughout the offseason, the Senior Bowl, the testing, it showed up on tape this year.
Well, you mentioned the frame of Hairston, and I think back to the Commanders a couple years ago. They took Emmanuel Forbes, right, 169 pounds soaking wet, and I believe he had some durability issues. So we'll see how much that weighs on the minds of NFL
Well,
scouts,
that's
right?
interesting, but that is an interesting pick because Forbes, I believe he had 13 interceptions, Rick, at Mississippi State. Like he had real ball skills. Now it never transferred to the NFL. Like I mean, it's not fair. He's a rookie. He's going up against AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown's swatting him out of the way. At that size, and it's a factor.
Yeah.
Can you hang in there against? We'll talk about DK Metcalf, but against the big X receivers in his business, can you stay in front of these guys? Because they're power forwards at wide receiver in his business. So your frame, what you weigh, how physical you are, it's a factor right now.
Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella talking NFL scouting combine. Adams exploits in the chat room says the cornerback and stat, the average 40-yard dash was crazy. And I saw a stat, 4.46 was the average safety time, I believe, which was the fastest average safety time recorded since they've been keeping track of these things. Hard to imagine. NFL Network's been broadcasting this thing for 22 years now, since 2003. It's kind of flew by in the blink of an eye. And the ratings were up. 5.1 million people tuning into the NFL scouting combine during the 3 or 4 day festivities there, right? So that was outstanding to see. Of course, Daniel Jeremiah, Rich Eisen did a good job considering the marathon of broadcast that's required. And so we're going to get into some more combine winners and things that make you go, and I have some polarizing players. But first, we talked about what does the combine make you do? It makes you go back and circle to the film. Like Jihad Campbell comes in blaze, 6'3", 235 pounds. This guy's running a 4.5 40, 4.52. And then you go back and look at how the Crimson Tide employed him as a occasional pass rusher, used him in some blitzing situations, and he did very well in that role. So I'm wondering, is he an off-ball linebacker? Is he an edge? Is he a Nolan Smith? What do we make of this Jihad Campbell out of Brick City, Newark, New Jersey, by the way?
Yeah, he's a Jersey kid for sure. I see the hat right now, Rick. But it's funny. He ran on Friday night. And I watched him. I watched all the linebackers. I was in the end zone at that time, and I watched all the linebackers warmed up. Jalen Walker did not test. He's a very similar type player out of Georgia. But, just watching him prepare, it is, you can tell he takes his craft seriously. Just the stretching, the warm-ups, the preparation for, the event. But then you go back and you watch him come off the edge. Watch him against Will Campbell at LSU. And watch him dip and rip and ghost. And his movement and his bend, I think he's got – you watch him cross-chop, Rick. You watch some of these moves that a lot of guys never perfect. He looks like he's got a lot of natural pass rush to him coming off the edge. There's no question he can run and chase and hit. I don't know if he's Roquan Smith in that regard. I mean, Roquan is a unique player, physical and just a step ahead of everybody. But he looks like he's an off-the-ball linebacker that in passing situations you can bring off the edge. Now, how you deploy him, it's going to take a good coordinator, I think, to maximize his abilities. But, he can cover. You watch him against, tight ends and running backs. I mean, he can run with them. So I think we got a really talented guy that's not getting out of the first round. It'd be interesting to see how teams want to view him because I could see teams going, okay, he could go to 240, 242 and come off the edge and give you real juice off the edge.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that myself, as a matter of fact. I'm reconsidering where I view Jihad Campbell as well as Jalen Walker, who you also mentioned out of Georgia, and we'll see hopefully at that Bulldog Pro Day later this month. By the way, the Indiana Pro Day was yesterday. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but I want to stick to our combine theme. We do have a question coming in. Good friend Mike Soriano of the show. He's checking in every week. We like to see that, and we love getting interactive. So wherever you are on YouTube, Twitter X, please give it a like, a share, drop a line. And Mike Soriano wants to know, Tyler Shuck, big talk about Tyler Shuck at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine. You know, I was down there in August and training camp talking to all the coaches and talking to Tyler Shuck himself up close and personal. And, you know, I think he has all the tools in the toolbox that you look for. I'm not sure he's a starting caliber type of quarterback that I want to put my reputation on the line for. But what were your takeaways from the Louisville gunslinger there?
Well, I thought he competed well. You know, I saw him in some bowl games this year. I don't know that he's going to elevate a team around him at this point. He looks like a guy that can compete for a backup spot. How those guys get time and when they get time, I'm not sure. But, you know, if teams are looking for starting quarterbacks that could come in, I mean, we're not going to put him in any category like C.J. Stroud or, you know, Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's not that. He's not that type of athlete. He doesn't have that type of moxie to him. But I believe he's going to make a football team this year. And I don't know if he gets drafted in middle rounds. He looks like a day 3 draft pick to me right now. And so, you know, those guys don't get great opportunities in this business right now to really showcase themselves unless there's just, you know, a number of injuries into your organization.
Yeah, you know, listen, I think these kind of guys might get pushed up the board. We've seen teams value the experience. He's like a 6th or 7th year senior. He said, hey, listen, at the Combine podium, the media was kind of asking him, I think he's going to be a 25-year-old rookie. He said, listen, I don't know. It might be an issue for you guys. He said it hasn't been an issue for NFL teams. So we'll see how much they value that. He did struggle with injuries early on in his career at Texas Tech, started at Oregon. So Tyler Shuck, definitely, you know, one of these mid to late round guys. You know, everybody's trying to find the Dak Prescott who restructured his contract, I believe, today. That 3rd round guy with starter upside. I don't know if Tyler Shuck is that answer. I don't know if we're going to find any of those answers in this year's draft. But, you know, sticking on the defensive side of the ball, there's one other guy I wanted to ask you about because I thought James Pierce Jr., based on what I saw and what I heard, is the most polarizing player in this year's NFL draft, arguably, because he had a combine for the ages. He jumped
4.47. Ran a 4.47. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
And then you hear that, you know, his interviews were atrocious. Like some teams just have him off the board entirely. And I wouldn't be surprised, like now, if he's a top 10 pick or a day 3 pick, how do you see James Pierce Jr.? And I'll say this: if you were to manufacture a prototypical frame pass rusher to compute, like the factory would spit out a guy in the mold of a James Pierce Jr., right? He's the first one off the bus type. What do you see, Baldy?
Well, the movement is elite. I think he needs to get stronger. But, I mean, the speed, the suddenness, just the twitch, it's all there. Now, I've heard the same things. In fact, Rick, I don't want to play reporter. I never do. I'm not fishing for stories. It's not what I do. I'll let, you know, the Jay Glazers, you know, the Shefties, I'll let those guys, Ian Rappaport, I'll let those guys go fish those stories out. But I did ask around, like, what is the knock? Because I heard the same thing about the interviews and how he just – and then I talked to some former players that did interviews for teams at certain positions. And, you know, it's a lot of information that we don't get, Rick. But, you know, if a starting caliber tight end in this business can't draw up a run play, the chances are we're talking about a guy that's, you know, not really mentally what you need at a tight end position. I heard that from about certain guys. But so, you know, Pierce, look, we see this guys drop every year for different reasons. Like, it's not going to surprise me. But some of it is we're dealing with, and I'm not making excuses for James Pierce because I don't even know if this is the case. But I've heard this discussion, Rick, that with the NIL money out there, and these guys can make a lot right now, and God bless them, that, you know, maybe Saturdays aren't as important as they used to be. Maybe going out there and laying it on the line isn't the most important thing, knowing you're going to get another check here in the NFL. If you go out there and you test well, maybe you're saving it for the NFL. And I know you hear those whispers.
Yep.
And the whispers are getting louder about this type of stuff. We see it now Guys don't want to go in the Senior Bowl, don't want to compete there. Like, it's about just saving it for Sundays. And if that's part of it, okay, that's just a modern day. That's what you get. I don't like that. I just want to see guys throw, compete, go down the field and lay it out there. We're just athletes. We're not trying to reinvent anything here. So I hope maybe that's the source of some of the consternation that teams have about them.
Yeah, taking plays off is one of the negatives that you'll find in the scouting report in the NFL Draft Bible, by the way, coming out in April. Go to allaccessfootball.com. We'll have scouting reports on over 500 prospects. We've got a great sale going on over on the website you can take advantage of. And I can promise you, me and Baldy, we're adjusting the board. We're going back and forth on the text, who we like, who we don't like. And we've got insider intel you're just not going to find anywhere else in terms of background reports, medical, character. We're going to have a 2026 sneak peek preview. So go to allaccessfootball.com. By the way, we're doing the scouting seminar number 3 a week from today. Yep. Next Wednesday night, we're going to be breaking down some of these defensive linemen, James Pierce Jr. being one of them. So that's part of the All Access Football experience. We're bringing the year-round coverage of the NFL Draft. Everything football. We're going to talk NFL hot stove offseason in the second segment of the show, but we're going to get a little offensive now on the offensive side of the ball. And I hope I don't offend anybody because, when it comes to these offensive linemen, Stephen Keim, you talk about who you might bump into at the combine. I remember one time I was shooting the breeze with
Keim in Arizona.
Former GM with the Cardinals when Bruce Arians was there. Very knowledgeable guy. And he said something today on one of the shows to the effect where there's not a lot of Pro Bowl caliber talent, like some game changers, but there's a lot of starting caliber quality talent. And I find that to be true, especially on the offensive line. And I say that because I don't mean this as a knock to Will Campbell or Armin Membu, who we're going to break down. And I'll give you my positives and negatives for each one. And we talked about Campbell. We'll break him down first because he came in with the controversial 32-inch arms, 32-inch and change. We know 34 inches prototypical. Anything under, is considered to be maybe kick inside. But what you said to me with your Baldy breakdown that you have up there on the website and breaking down Will Campbell, you pointed out he wins with his feet, right? And you go back and you watch these wonderful feet, the fancy footwork. He could survive on the island. I mean, I have no question in my mind. He could be a high quality offensive tackle, maybe even a left tackle. I just think he could be a better guard. And that's just where I'm at with Will Campbell. But, you got a second look at him at the combine, Baldy. What did you see?
Yeah. I still stand by the fact I think he can play tackle, but we've certainly seen Brandon Sheriff go from tackle to Pro Bowl guard. We've seen Zach Martin have a Hall of Fame career at guard. Quentin Nelson. We've seen guys kick inside. It's a question of, do you want to spend a high pick on a guy that you're going to kick inside? Well, I mean, in the case of Quentin Nelson and Brandon Sheriff, it was the right pick in both cases. And Zach Martin. I mean, wherever you picked him, it was the right pick. Like, I believe Will Campbell's a good football player. I mean, you go to LSU, you're going against elite pass rushers every day in practice, elite talent. Every Saturday, you're under the microscope, whether you're home or away. Alabama, just go through the list of guys. So he's seen the best. And all he did was line up for 38 straight games, or whatever it was, and compete out there. Now, I can go find players that got underneath them, that beat them, that, he's on the ground. Like, you're going to find him getting beat. He's not Anthony Munoz. He's not that guy, but he's good. He's a good player. You can win with him. And so, everybody, I remember distinctly, Rick, this kind of a format you can, recall. I remember Deion Dawkins coming out of Temple, and everybody said he's a guard. Everybody. The guy's been a Pro Bowl left tackle, and he's got the right chip on his shoulder, the right athletic ability. Like, he doesn't get beat. He's perfect guy. And, of course, Josh Allen, is Josh Allen. I mean, he can make anybody look good up front, but, they're not moving him from left tackle after 7 years there. Like, he's their left tackle for he's signed an extension. So it's really in the eye of the beholder right now.
Yeah. And, you mentioned Deion Dawkins, who I'm a big fan of, but he was wired right. You had a conversation with him. You knew right away, this guy gets it. Same thing with Will Campbell. A little bit slower pace with the Louisiana drawl, and might not be as fast of a talker, but I thought Will Campbell came away very impressive just with his NFL Network interview, what he was about. He said, I'm a leader. I get my ability to have my teammates rally around me and believe in me. And I thought, it was coming from the heart. And I appreciated that for Will Campbell. Now, Armand Membo out of Missouri. Let's talk about this young man because he arguably had maybe the best or most impressive combine of anybody. You mentioned that 4.91 40-yard dash, I think at like 323 pounds, even more. Now, here's the thing. Here's where I struggle because to me, there's nothing wrong with the mechanics. It's just like he leaves me wanting a little bit more. And what I mean, Baldy, is like I watch Membu, especially in run blocking, where he leaves. I mean, like he has the opportunity to like really pummel some opponents.
Yeah.
And he just leaves it and he just doesn't go for the kill. And it bothers me. And I just, like when I'm building inside the trenches, I want these nasty hogs that play with a chip on the shoulder. And like too many times, I felt like we let him off the hook. Like we could have pancaked that and finished that and played through the whistle. And that's where I struggle with Membu. And I think he can survive at tackle. Again, I think he'll be a better guard at the next level. But give me your thoughts.
Well, not everybody is an alpha dog. Not everybody. I mean, some guys, you need at least one on your line for sure. Everybody needs one, a minimum to start the fight, finish the fight, practice the whole thing. He might not be that guy. I don't know the guy personally. I agree with you that he could do a lot more punishment in finishing guys and getting after it. I do think, and I don't know if that's if he's wired like that, if he needs to be told that, taught that, if it's going to kick in for him. Not everybody is like that. So that doesn't crush me. I do love his ability though. I like just his ability to just quick hook, on a 5 technique defensive end. Just step around him, wheel him, position blocking, get to the second level. A lot of the things I see that you don't see a lot at the college level. The game is so different at college, but you can project to the NFL. Backside cutoffs, getting to the second level, tackle traps, that kind of thing. I think he's going to be really good, whether he's guard or tackle. I know they made a comparison. I don't know why they do these things, but they do them. They made a comparison to Jason Peters. Now, Jason Peters is like, I remember Jason Peters when he came out of college. He was a tight end, went to Buffalo with, Mouse McAnally, and he became a perennial Pro Bowl offensive tackle. And to this day, there's not 5 people that have played the position that are as explosive as Jason Peters in the run game. So he's not Jason Peters. You can look at him physically and say, okay, he's 6'4", he's 335, he runs a 4.9. That's what Jason did. But I don't believe he's as explosive as Jason. Not many people have been. But I don't want to also compare him to what I think is going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame player right now after 20 years. Yeah. So, but look, if you want to say, okay, Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell, you throw the list of these top 5 tackles, they don't look like what Fautano looked to me like last year, like the top of the draft last year. None of these guys look like the guys that came out a year ago.
Yeah, Kelvin Banks did come in at 6'5" and 1/8 inches, so that was good to see. But you saw the graphic. If you're watching at Twitter or YouTube at home, you saw the graphic. Will Campbell or Armand Membo. I got to ask you, Baldy. I'll put you on the spot here a little bit. If you're picking in the draft, you got a first-round pick. You got to go offensive line. Which piece do you prefer to add to the mix, Will Campbell or Armand Membo?
I might take Membo right now. Because I think he's got a bigger upside than Will Campbell. I think his movement is just, and his footwork. And look, and Will's a really good player. But if you're saying, okay, which one, you get one pick. Right now I'm taking Membo because of the upside.
All right, we're breaking it down. We're chopping it up. Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella here. Got to give a shout out to our chat room people. Adam Exploits with the Mike Mamula reference, going back to the class of '84 out of Boston College. He's the one that kind of created this whole combine training, the first workout warrior. Said, be careful with these workout warriors. We've seen them come and go. Dave Del Cole, we're going to be doing a show together soon. My good friend, shouts out Holland Pierce out of Rutgers, the mammoth 6'8" offensive tackle. Now be careful because his injury report is a grocery list. It's a very long list of injuries there with Holland Pierce. And I did too, like what I saw from Joe Huber. I think it was the East-West Shrine game out of Wisconsin. Showed some flexibility with the inside-outside versatility in terms of center and the two guard positions. I think he'll be a versatile guy. Logan Brown from Kansas is also in that tackle category where I'm trying to figure out if he's an outside guy or an inside guy. I think I saw him struggle with some speed on occasion there. So some good names. The chat room, obviously very educated. We got some draft nicks hanging out. Please give us a like, a share, a subscribe. We're here each and every Wednesday, live, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella here. Go to allaccessfootball.com. We've got premium content. We got Baldy breakdowns. We got the 2025 NFL Draft Bible. We got the scouting seminar 1 week from today, breaking down defensive line prospects. We're going to get into all this stuff, the X's and O's. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I mean, we got breaking news. We got the Raiders making a historic signing. We got the Eagles bringing back some people. We got all kinds of NFL transactions going on. So we're going to talk about that right after this.
We might be looking at a golden era of running backs, and Ashton Genty might be right in the middle of it. This is just straight football. There's a hole, you go hit the hole. You don't hesitate, you run right through it. And then when you get there, you let your contact balance and your strength allow you to spin and turn and get every blade of grass that you possibly can while you wrap up the ball. Okay, that's what you got to get. Go get those 7 yards that are right there. Now you got to play like this. All right, spread option, shotgun, a little patient right here. You got some color showing up right in front of you. Stiff arm, break the tackle. Now you're in the open field. All right, now put the right foot in the ground, little cut, stiff arm again, and then you just take as many players as you can with you. All right, that's beautiful. Then you get a run like this, where you go, okay, watch him just glide right out of the pistol. Loves to run out of the pistol. All right, he's just gliding right here. Patient behind his blockers. Then the explosion right here. He's always looking at the next level. And even right here, he has a chance to come out of that tackle right there. Special player, special talent. Who's going to spend a top 10 pick to improve the running game? Let's watch this Hampton from North Carolina here. And watch this play. Watch his vision. Is he going to follow the tight end into the hole here or come to a jump stop and see that hole there and then hit it? All right? Take the safety and give him the dead leg right there, shake him off. All right? Then he just smells the goal line on this quick pitch right here. Just smell it like he destroyed Florida State in this game. Bounce it behind the tackle and slither into the end zone. And then you get this right here. If you don't tackle him, if you don't wrap him up and tackle him, you're going to bounce right off him. Like here it is. There's the hole. Now, runs right through that arm tackle. And here you go. Bounces right off the safety and just keeps going. Contact balance. And then, look, any kind of the screen game, the slow screen, the spot screen, you name it. Like you watch this right here, this little spot screen right in the middle. Like just put the ball in his hands here and now let him go finish. Like he's going to find the open alleys right here and smell that goal line. He tested great today, ran a 4.46 at 220.
All right, it's a place to be. Buckle up. You're tuned into the NFL DraftCast show. We're on location across the nation, so keep it locked every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on X and around the All Access Football Media Platform Network. We are live.
All right, welcome back into the All Access Football NFL DraftCast show with Brian Baldinger. I'm Ric Serritella, broadcasting live from the depths of the Jersey Shore, NFL films, and around the universe. Big shout out to all our chat room people, Adams Exploits, Michael Soriano, David Del Cole, all our people hanging out. every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. We're live and direct, coming into your living room, wherever you may stream, YouTube, X. Give it a like, give it a share, give it a comment. Chime on in, ask a question. We got news, we got reaction, and how about the Las Vegas Raiders and what I would call a statement signing under the new regime? Max Crosby, the highest paid non-quarterback of all time, 3 years, $106.5 million, $91 million guaranteed, according to our super producer, Cole Glotzer. This screams out like, hey, let's set the tone for who we want to be. Max Crosby is the identity or the heart and soul of that defense. Baldy, your take?
Oh, no question. I mean, I nicknamed him the Condor 4 games into his pro career. I literally have been forced by Max to watch every single game of his career and break it down. I feel like I need a little bit of a cut. This is his second, by the way, $100 million contract. He was on a $100 million contract he signed 2 years ago. But this is, I mean, there was talk that maybe Max is going to be a Raider for life. Maybe Max wants to win. Maybe Max wants to get out of this carousel of, revolving coaches and GMs and all the stuff that's going on since he's been there. But I think he's the ultimate Raider. He really values that. I've been to his house in Las Vegas. We've done his podcast a couple of times. I did his Sack Summit last year with Von Miller and Cam Jordan out there in Las Vegas. I mean, he wants to be a Raider. Now, it's a question of, okay, we've got Max. Can we get a quarterback? Can we build a defense? Can we build something that Raider Nation can be proud of? And I think Max says, okay, I'm fine being your front man, your poster boy for this franchise. Now let's start getting our act together here.
Yeah, I have no problem with this signing. Obviously Tom Brady's involved there. I think Pete Carroll had a lot to do with this, probably after meeting with Max Crosby. I guess the question is really, are we ready to anoint Max Crosby into the Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons level of pass rushing? Is he equal to those guys?
Well, he's better against the run versus any of those guys you just mentioned. I mean, he is an unbelievable run stopper. He defeats the run better than anybody in this business. Now, he got hurt last year and he missed time for the first time in his career. So he only put up 7.5 sacks. He was on pace, 12.5, 14.5 sacks. He was climbing to the guy's status that you just mentioned, with TJ, Miles, Trey Hendrickson, those guys' status. He was Micah's. He was getting to that until the injury this year. Nobody played more snaps. I've often talked to Max about maybe not playing 99% of the snaps, maybe backing off to 90% and just saving it a little bit for the fourth quarter. But that's his thing. He loves playing every snap. But he got the surgeries done early this year, fixed the ankle, fixed the issues. He should be 100%. But I think he's in that category specifically. I mean, you watch that guy against the run. There's nobody that beats the run and wins as quickly as he does, in addition to what he gives you in the pass rush.
Well, 3 years, $106.5 million. Max Crosby now the highest paid non-quarterback.
Well, I also add this because I've gotten on him about this. I'm not just blowing smoke at him. Yeah. I'm like, Max, you need to start taking the ball away. Like, where are the forced fumbles? He hadn't forced a fumble now in 2 years. Like, where's the forced fumbles? Where's the, TJ is going to give you the forced fumbles, the interceptions, the splash plays. It's not enough just to stop the run and pressure the quarterback, chase the quarterback. You got to take the ball away in this business. Good defenses, Deion told me this years ago. Good defenses are scoring defenses. So help your defense score by getting the ball out more than he does.
Yeah, those are momentum-changing type of plays that alter the outcome of ball games. So, again, $91 million guaranteed of that $106.5 million, 3 years. Max Crosby can do a lot on that Las Vegas Boulevard out there in the desert. Let's talk about the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Zach Bond coming back on a 3-year, $51 million deal, $34 million guaranteed. We saw them restructure Saquon Barkley earlier in the week. He's now getting $20 million a year. I took a screenshot. Hurts at $51 million, Barkley at $20, AJ Brown at $32, Devonta Smith at $25, Malata $22, Dickerson $21, Lane $20. Bond 17, Goddard 14.25. I guess it speaks to the fact that when you're that top heavy at the star positions, you also have to find talent in the draft and build through the draft and find those mid to bottom tier
No question.
the roster. Unbelievable what they're doing in Philadelphia.
No, it is. But they drafted well. Milton Williams, they're going to lose him. Josh Sweat, these are third and fourth round picks that they've struck on. You look at a guy, like Juergens, Cam Juergens at center, second round pick. They've struck there, rookie contract. When you look at what they did, in the draft last year with Cooper DeJean and Quinion, they hit. You got to hit on your picks, and then you got to be creative, in the cap game. And so, look, Zach Bond, I thought honestly he was the defensive player of the year last year. Like he had 150 plus tackles, 5 forced fumbles, never came off the field. Quarterback, the number one defense in football. He was the difference. Quite honestly, they lost Nakobe Dean at one point for the season. He was the difference at that position. And the Eagles have never put a lot of resources into the linebacker position. In fact, Jerry Richardson, coming out of UCLA, is the last number one pick that they've used on a linebacker. They've never drafted a linebacker for Penn State. So their linebacking core is always in flux, but they recognized how good Zach Bond was last year. He was the quarterback of the defense. And so they rewarded him. And more power to the Eagles. They reward their players that perform and produce. And that's always been a staple under Howie Roseman. Going back to Joe Banner, they were the same way. They're a model franchise from that standpoint.
Yeah, Howie Roseman playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers seems to be a year or two ahead of the game at all times. Let's take a look at some of the other news and notes around the league, Baldy. DK Metcalf has requested a trade from Seattle, and the Seahawks now are going to entertain trade offers this coming right after the news that they're going to release Tyler Lockett. I have to ask you, with the 35-year-old quarterback and Geno Smith, where is this Seattle Seahawks team who I believe they made the playoffs this past year? Are they contending? Are they rebuilding? Are they in transition? I don't know what to make of this Seahawks ball club.
Well, it was going to be the third offense coordinator in 3 years for DK Metcalf if he stayed. He's just looking at a team. Jackson Smith and Jigba came in, became the number one wide receiver by midseason, and the offense went through him. They've got 2 running backs that they believe in. I think they're going to be a run-first team. DK's in his prime. He's in his prime, and he's saying, look, here we are, new coach, new system. He just saw Deebo Samuel get out of San Francisco and go to Washington and get a chance to play with Jaden Daniels. Like, I think DK is looking at, okay, Geno's been good, not great, but he's good enough to get you to the playoffs. Let me go see if I can pair up with, maybe Matt Stafford with the Rams, or, maybe Kyler Murray with Arizona. I don't know. Like, teams that need wide receivers right now. Maybe San Francisco with Brock Purdy. Who knows? But if you look at the draft right now and you go, okay, DK was the 60th player taken. He was underdrafted by far coming out of Mississippi. But, if you want an X receiver, a true X, DK's your guy. And so there's a lot of teams, I believe, that would be very interested in a guy that can still run, got tremendous size, can be a difference maker on a lot of Sundays. He's got to be in the right system right now.
Yeah, I know there was a little concern with a neck injury coming out of college, but he obviously overcame that. I just wonder, what does a DK Metcalf fetch on the open market? We just saw Deebo go for like a 4th or a 5th rounder. But then I look at the draft and I say, like, I'd rather have DK Metcalf and his salary than any wide receiver in this year's draft. I'd happily give up a 1st-round pick for DK.
Well, I mean, look, the Eagles probably don't win a Super Bowl or go to 2 out of the last 3 if they don't make that deal for A.J. Brown during the draft 3 years ago. Yeah. I mean, he's been the difference in the passing game, and he's been the blanket, for Jalen Hurts throughout. These guys make a difference. So, is Dallas, I mean, could you put DK and CeeDee Lamb together on the field with Dak and go, okay, go draft Ashton Jeanty if you can at 12 and go put some talent on the field, for that offense right now. I mean, you could put them in a lot of places. Now, compensation has to be worked out. But I don't believe that it's going to be a first-round pick. I mean, you look at, Devontae, you look at Debo, you look at what these receivers, that are moving and what they're fetching right now. It's not first-round picks. It might be a second or a third. You eat the salary, whatever. Okay, salary cap just went up. You can figure that out. But I believe there's a market right now. With the New England Patriots, as they're trying to put this offense together, and they're going to address offense line. Could DK be that guy, with a Drake May? Like you can figure this out in a lot of different spots where he would be an upgrade of what they have.
There's going to be a lot of moving parts at the wide receiver position this offseason. You got DK Metcalf, also Cooper Kupp on the market. Christian Kirk also being notified that his contract will be terminated with the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, coming off of an injury there. But let's go to where you made your living over 10 years in the National Football League in the trenches at the offensive line position, the Chicago Bears, protecting their investment franchise quarterback by acquiring Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, solidifying the interior of that offensive line. We've seen Ryan Poles kind of invest a lot into that offensive line in order to protect Caleb Williams. How much of an impact will this have on that Chicago Bears offense?
Well, I mean, look, here's what's going on in Kansas City. I mean, they've got to pay Trey Smith. And, they want to keep Trey and Creed together. They came in together. Trey Smith, if he got to the open market this year, would have been the highest paid guard in football. He's basically started every game since he came out of Tennessee. They just couldn't pay everybody. So they let Thuney walk. They'll probably find a starter. They got a 4th-round pick out of Chicago for him. Look, I mean, I'm friends with, Matt Pryor, who played right guard for Chicago last year. He's a backup player. He's not a starter. Joe Thuney solidifies things inside. Start being serious about protecting Caleb Williams and start building the right way. So we'll see what Jonah Jackson, he got, had some injuries, over the last few years, see if he can stay healthy. But when healthy, it's an upgrade. Let him go draft a left tackle. I think that's probably in the works, and start putting a real offensive line together in Chicago for the first time in a long time. And let's just see what happens when you just never stop building around Caleb Williams, and let's see what his production, increases by.
Yeah, very necessary moves and getting out in front of their needs now. That gives them some flexibility in the free agent frenzy coming up next week. And then also in the draft where there's a lot of good depth, they're addressing their needs early on, give them some flexibility early on in the draft, maybe keep stockpiling some depth along the offensive line later. And so, listen, the hour of power is winding down. We're going to take one more quick commercial break. I see some questions in the chat room. Mike Soriano wants to know about Arch Manning, the potential number 1 pick for the 2026 NFL draft. We'll answer that. Dave Del Cole has a 1st-round dark horse sleeper who I'm very high on that I want to get into. Okay. In addition to the pro day circuit just kicking off. There is no offseason. It's the NFL draft. It's the free agent frenzy. It's the pro day circuit. Go to allaccessfootball.com. We got you covered north, south, east, and west. Baldy breaks down the draft Bible, the scouting seminars. Take advantage of the sale over there. Come by. Dave Del Cole knows he was at the scouting seminar last week. We are just dropping gems on him. Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella. We'll be back right after this.
One of the stars of the offensive line at the Combine was Armand Membu, the right tackle, Missouri. Watch the quick hook. See that? See that? Bam, 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 bam. Like quick feet, quick hook on skirting right there. Now here he is against Shamar Stewart. They had a great matchup in this game. Stewart is really explosive. But you watch him right here, it's over. He's got him locked up. He's dropping the anchor. It's over. All right, now, you watch him right here. Like here's skirting right here, number 11. All right, another prospect. Now, when you watch this play, watch skirting. He's going to get his hand down. See that chop? He gets his right hand down. Now, the way that you save yourself, you got to move your feet. Move your feet. Now reset your hands. Came out of it good. All right? That's good. Good sign. All right, here we go. Good matchup with Stewart. All right? A lot of good plays back and forth in this game against these two. Like, okay. Backpedaling, drop the anchor. And now, look, Brady Cook gets outside the pocket, makes the throw. Probably left too soon. Good bend, nice, easy 45 set. Like he's a 45 setter. All right, nice, easy bend. Waiting on Stewart. Right hand punch. All right. Now, good job of just stopping the charge. Now, Stewart's strong and he's explosive. So he's going to get the very best. Bam, right here. Now, Stewart's got him backed up. But even when Cook gets outside the pocket, he's in pretty good shape. All right, he ends up throwing a touchdown pass here. All right. Now, step wide to Skirtin. All right, step wide. All right, step out to him, number 11. Watch him shuffle back inside. He wants to come inside, shuffle, flatten, keep the pocket flat. Perfect. All right. Now you get this. Like this matchup with Stewart was good. It was fun to watch. Like it was actually really good tape for both plays because I thought Stewart was better in the run game. But here he is. Like maybe you don't want your head right in the chest plate, but he gets it out of there. He's in good shape, man. Just a good wrestling match. And then you watch him over here. All right. All right, he goes right here. Late hands right here. See that? A lot of guys don't want to give you your hands, so you can't chop them down. Late hands. Now, once you get him, there you go. Good shot. All right, one more here. Here he is, unbalanced. They do this a lot at Missouri. They put him at the left tight end spot. Now, this is like if you're just basically combo blocking up to the second level, easily gets up to the second level. Like that 4'9", 140 that he busted at 332 pounds, that's where that can come in. But excellent tape against A&M in a blowout game. Just watch Jihad Campbell here, full speed. On Will Campbell. Turn that corner. Like, he's an off-the-ball inside linebacker, but he can play anywhere. I'm telling you, like this guy at the next level. Watch this thing in slow motion. Hesitation, cross chop. Watch him get that left leg through. And then turn the hips. And look at the bend. Like this guy is going to be a fierce pass rusher at the next level. He's got all the movement that you need to be really good, in addition to being a great athlete.
All right, it's a place to be. Buckle up. You're tuned into the NFL DraftCast show. We're on location across the nation, so keep it locked every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on X and around the All Access Football Media Platform Network. We are live.
Back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything football, alongside Brian Baldinger here on this Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. We are exactly 50 days away. 50 days away from Christmas. Go to allaccessfootball.com. Make sure you pre-order the NFL Draft Bible. You saw the wonderful Baldy breakdowns. They're flowing like the Hudson River over on the website. We got the scouting seminar next Wednesday. We're going to be talking defensive line. Can't wait to get into that. We've been going back and forth on Walter Nolan and his impressive film, and maybe he's the #1 defensive tackle. A couple loose ends to sew up here before we get into some pro day news and some questions. Baldy, you were at the Sports Management Worldwide Football Career Conference. You got a chance to meet with a lot of the students at the Combine Seminar. There's a picture, if you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, yourself along with Dane Vandernat, who now works with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, formerly of the Oakland Raiders. Elise, I believe, from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Emily from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and I see they added Mark Dolger in from the international
program. It was a good panel. It was a really good panel. It was well done. Good turnout. Good turnout in that room. It's probably somewhere around 300 people, maybe more. I don't know, but it was a good turnout. Good questions. Moved very quickly. Following us when we finished our panel was Adam Schefter, who's been doing this annually every year. And so really, I mean, whether you're trying to become, whether it's an agent or a scout or, just really on-air personality, I mean, there's something really for everybody at that particular conference. It was really well done. Lynn and Liz, husband and wife right there, they do a great job. And we had a meet and greet on Thursday night at the Punch Bowl in Indianapolis. It was well attended. A lot of really good questions from young people that are really looking for direction. I got a lot out of it myself, and I was impressed by just the level of questions that that people in the audience had.
No, it's one of my favorite events of the year, and we're so proud and happy to have Sports Management Worldwide as a sponsor and support over at the allaccessfootball.com newsletter. They've been having our back for a long time, and we got their back. And oh, by the way, the agent apprenticeship right around the corner, May 5th. I'll be back at it again by popular demand. You know, I didn't do it last year because I was with the Edmonton Elks. It was kind of a conflict of interest, but we'll be bringing back the agent apprenticeship. If you want to ramp up player recruiting, if you want a personalized Baldy breakdown, we can make that happen too. So check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We got consulting. We've got Baldy breakdowns. We got Draft Bible. If you're a fan of the draft, if you go back like we do, like Dave Del Cole does to Dave T. Thomas, okay, then you're going to appreciate what we're doing here. Shout out to Jersey. You guys see me out there in the chat room representing the hat. You know, I always represent. And Baldy's checking in from the NFL Films.
I'm just west of you right now. You know, I'm right in Mount Laurel. Yep. You know, right here at NFL Films. It's my home away from home.
I know.
I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, Rick. I don't even
I know you're sending me film around the clock. What about this guy? What about that guy? I love it. Can't get enough of it. We're burning the candle at both ends this time of the year. A couple loose ends, like I said. The question about Arch Manning, Mike Soriano, you know, I think he's going to go into the year as the consensus guy, but there's, you know, he's got to do it, right? Like we just saw bits and pieces and splash plays.
He started 2 games last year, Rick. He started 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as opposed to, you know, whether it's Peyton or Eli, I mean, he's got real athletic ability. I mean, he can take off and run. So we're talking about a different level of athlete than his uncles.
And
but
bigger.
You know, but I mean, look, he's had a great chance to watch an elite program, to learn under an elite program with elite receivers, elite talent around. They've done a great job of building that program. It's now in his hands. Like, he's got to go do it in a very, you know, in the number 1 conference in football. So he's going to get that chance. He'll be physically better. I think he'll be better prepared right now than anything that he had been thrown into before. Quinn got a chance to take his team to the championship, but like, I think this is his time. Time to go up there and, you know, and show Texas, which is, it's good to see Texas back on the map. There's a long time when coaches were turning over, and you know, they're back right now. The talent is really substantial.
Well, we could see Arch deliver that first national championship since Vince Young, and I was saying bigger frame, 225-pound trucker. Now he could throw the ball, he could truck you over too. And keep an eye on in that SEC, Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina. I think him and Ewers could be neck and neck for that number 1 quarterback next year in the class of 2026. How about Trey Harris? You bring up Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. Like, I'm going to tell you, I have an allure for Trey Harris. I think he's big, he's fast, not fast. He's more quick than fast, but he's physical, and he goes across the middle, and he's a possession wideout, but he can beat you deep when needed. Like, he missed a lot of time this year. I think he missed like 6 games due to injury. But when he was in the starting lineup, he was Jackson Dart's go-to guy. And if you told me 10 years from now, when we're doing the NFL DraftCast on Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, if Trey Harris was the best wide receiver to emerge from this year's draft class, I would not be shocked.
Wow.
I mean, he's got that kind of talent, that Trey Harris. I think he's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. I'm a big fan. We'll get into that more as we count you down. 50 days to go to the NFL draft. One last item to address. Pro Day circuit kicked off yesterday. Purdue today. Indiana yesterday. Curtis Rourke, however, did not work out. And the Hoosiers really botched this injury. He tore, you know, he ripped the ACL last offseason, came into training camp, and then fully tore it and played the whole season through the injury without any kind of real treatment.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of suffering from the consequences, so to speak, because his career may be in jeopardy. I don't know that for a fact. I think his medical evaluation will have a lot to determine what his NFL future holds. But if you're looking for a late round flyer, like, this guy was in the Heisman Trophy race contention.
Well, they were undefeated. What were they? They start off 6-0, 7-0 this year.
That's right.
Like, he was the talk. He was the talk. Like, up until, in fact, game day, ESPN went to, Bloomington, and he was front and center that particular day.
All right, well, the hour of power is in the books. Jermaine Corbett, we're very well aware of your film. I'll be sure to point out Baldy in the right direction. I plan to be there at Holy Cross on March the 27th. And we got all kinds of followers and influences. And I'm telling you, the NFL Draft Bible is used by all 32 NFL teams. Make sure you go to allaccessfootball.com. We're doing the scouting seminar next Wednesday. I can't tell you the inside information I get out of it. Just exchanging ideas and perspectives and scouting evaluations, how we look at different things. You got a little glimpse of it here today with Armin Membo, Will Campbell. We're going to get into the X's and O's. We'll be back here every Wednesday counting you down to the 2025 NFL Draft. For Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella, Cole Glotzer behind the scenes going on spring break, our super producer. We'll see you next week, everybody.
See you, everybody.